Welcome to Trail Whale Off-Road. My name's Jordan. This is Will from Winches and Whiskey.
Howdy.
HyperQ Westin LED lighting. The 12,000 pound winch. This is going to be going on the Trail Whale inside the Westin bumper.
Well, what do you say we get it installed?
Let's get it installed.
Let's do it.
All right, so first things first, we are going to go ahead and get,
got it.
nice. We're gonna go ahead and get this big bumper off, or the, whatever this guard bull bar kind of thing is. It came with the Rocky Ridge package. We're gonna go ahead and get that off there and relocate that light bar into the new Westin Pro bumper. One of the first things we gotta do down here though, hopefully we've got enough light for you guys to see, is down in here. Looks like it mates up right there. So these two bolts into the frame rail, that's where that bull bar is mounting in. So we're gonna slowly work our way up, taking off fascia, stuff like that. We've got our fog light connector right here. That's gonna go ahead and come off. So we can hook in the new stuff, get that guy done. So he's got some trim to remove and we're gonna slowly pull all of this off. I'll have it running in a time lapse so you guys can see the process as we move along. So here we go. All right, so starting out to get this bumper off, we're gonna go ahead and pull this trim piece up off the top inside the engine bay. Got a lot of these little trim pieces here. Here, Will, if you mind holding this real quick.
Yeah, I got you.
And then looking at where I'm gonna go with this. So, this tool right here is amazing to have to pull out trim pieces. It's just a little OEM tools. I got this one from AutoZone. They have them at Harbor Freight. They've got them all over the place. So it's a 2-piece trim rivet, and it's got a little key on the inside. So what you want to do is you can get the corner of this guy right in there, and then you pry up, get the whole thing up and underneath it, just like so. And once that's up under there, you can pry the key up, and that relieves tension underneath. Then you can put this underneath the whole thing and pull it up out of the thing, and without damaging it, because it's always a pain when you break one of these, and then you have to run to the store. They probably don't have it.
Or you just buy an Amazon kit that's like
Right.
a ton of them extra, and then you always have it. But
Yeah.
once we got this off, we can go ahead and start yanking it. There was a lot of them, probably about, what, 10? It's snagged on there. Yeah, there you go.
All right, there you go. Snake it out from underneath there. So trim piece,
Off.
set it out to the side. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take these 10mm bolts off and get better access to the rest of the bumper.
All right, so now we got to go through and we have to very carefully pry up the trim piece around the underneath the headlights so we can get this grill out. There's the body clips. It's nerve-wracking now, Jordan. There we go. Hey, it's gonna make some god-awful noise, but you're just gonna have to grin and bear it. It's all part of the process. Gonna get both sides.
Ah, there's a scratch.
I know a guy who does paint.
out.
Should be able to start prying it loose here. Chevy doesn't make it easy, does it? There we go. What's it caught on down there?
Just some clips.
All right, there we go. Now we got the whole grill off. We can start moving on to getting this front bumper right here, this part off.
Nice.
Which is the part we need to get rid of anyway, so.
Yep, only a couple little scratches here, nothing a little paint marker can't fix up. So obviously you don't want to scratch it, but if you do, it's not too bad.
I mean, my brother-in-law owns a paint company. Just saying.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be pulling out these
Liner.
Torx liners for the wheel liner. These are all Torx 15s, T15s. As you can tell, I've got a little damage down here already, but that's one of the reasons we're replacing this bumper. So
How'd you get that damage?
definitely doing some crazy off-road trail stuff and not in the parking lot of a KFC.
That's why you shouldn't eat fried chicken, it's bad.
They put the parking pylon somewhere it didn't belong.
There should be 5 on each side, right?
Yeah, looks like it. All right, next up, we've got two 18mm bolts that are right down there. And that's holding it to the body of the truck. So we're gonna get those moved off. On a different kind of a build truck, these might be behind some flaps, but on this one, that's where they're at. So, right there. All right, so here we've got everything cleared off, we're ready to go. We're gonna start with fitting the new Westin, see how that goes up and on there, and things should start moving along nicely now. So, yep, the whole thing should be connected. So right down here on my truck, this I believe is part of the max tow package. It's additional cooling venting that comes up from the bottom of the truck, pulls additional air with ram up into the coolers. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out because that will not fit with this Westin bumper. So. All right, so we've got these. These are what we're going to initially put inside the frame rails of the truck. This is going to be kind of where everything builds out and mounts from, okay? So we've got two mirrored image ones right here. The longer end is going to go towards each other on the inside. So we've got this one that slides in right here, and you'll know it's right in the right spot when that hole lines up there. Same with this one. Slide this guy in here. And now we got everything lined up. So now we're gonna start bolting everything else together. I'll stop and record when I can, but likely we'll probably just have things up on the time-lapse camera that I've got going. And we'll just keep moving along and putting things together. They did include fairly descriptive. I'd give it, you know, if IKEA instructions are a C, I'd give these a solid B. So.
It's like a early 90s video VCR instructions. That's what we're looking at here.
All right, so down here we have got this bracket right here that slid inside the frame rail. We have these outside brackets here, nice and loose, just in case we need to tighten things up. Got Will over there doing his side.
Still a little loose. We didn't want to. We want it to be a little bit finger tight right now because we haven't torqued it down. So we're just leaving it until we can get the rest of the frame put onto the rest of the bumper put onto the frame. So
yeah,
it's going to be loose for a few until we line it up.
Yep, but it's looking good. We're making good progress. So the next thing's going to be to attach the winch tray. So we got Will down here tightening up the Badlands winch into the tray. Turns out we had some clearance issues with these brackets right here. So this right here, if we put the tray in and then tried to put the winch in the tray, there's no way that was gonna work. That was a no-go. So I did a measurement with the tray mounted inside. It was like 7.5 inches from the bottom of the tray up to here. And these arms out here is about 6.5 inches. So having it mounted in here, and then bringing it up here should get that guy to fit where it goes in between there. So, really hoping. Hydration is key. Yeah. All right, we're moving right along. We've got Will over here starting to work on the lights. As we can see, getting them mounted up here on the Westin Pro Front Bumper. It looks like the light bar probably is not gonna be able to go in at this point. I need to get some different mounting hardware for it, but it will fit right in there in that bar area. So, just gonna have to wait a minute until I can get the appropriate mounting hardware for it. Coming over here, we got neighbor Jason helping us wire, so that's good.
Well, mostly just correcting something we did.
Correcting us, snipping the wire. It had to be done though. So, moving along, the Badlands winch is in, but it took a little bit of finagling. We actually had to, we were very lucky that they're slotted, the screw holes are slotted down here. That allowed us to slide it over just enough to clear this bumper mounting bracket. As you can see, it is close. So that all lined up nicely once we were able to push that over. All this is tightened down. We're getting things wired up. So this travels up here. We've got it wired into the cutoff box. I'll zip tie that down somewhere, and then negative to negative, positive to positive on the battery. So just find a place for those terminals to hook up to. But slow and steady, we're getting there.
All right, Will, what are we doing here?
All right, so basically we've got the bumper on. It's looking pretty good so far. While Jordan's finishing up the wiring for the winch, I went ahead and got our winch fairlead on. It's a nice shiny one. It's actually pretty nice because it matches the Westin badge up here on the top. And that's held on by two 19mm bolts in the back, or excuse me, nuts in the back on this big old bolt right here, which has a hex head on the front. Once I got that on, I went ahead, since I had it up, we're gonna go ahead and put our lights on. So right now I'm wiring in our floodlights. And like we discussed about earlier, we're gonna put our floodlights on the exterior side of the bumper. And then this area we have right here is where we're gonna put our spotlights, our beam lights. Those are gonna be in this area. And they'll both connected individually will be pushed into buttons that Jordan has in the cab of the truck. This is real simple, it's adjustable, so we've been sitting here trying to make sure we get the right angle on these. We want to make sure they look right. So we tighten them with a little Allen key on the one side, and then on the bottom it's a 13mm nut and bolt that secures it to the actual bumper itself. So once we get this all done, with these floodlights on both sides, we'll go ahead and start working on our spotlights at that point too.
All right, now to you, Jordan. What are we doing?
Well, right now I'm wiring in, well, it's already been wired in, but I'm getting this power cutoff box for the winch turned off, or bolted together so I can zip tie it in place and give it a good place to sit in here in the engine bay. The winch is all in. We've got, we actually didn't end up having to relocate the control box, which is fantastic, because that's a bit of a nightmare. And it doesn't necessarily eliminate, but the IP68 waterproof and dustproof rating of that winch kind of goes out the window a little bit unless you really take your time and do a meticulous job of relocating that box and doing all the weatherproofing you need to do. So, not having to do that right now, fantastic. So we've got to leave that there. We've got it routed up through here where it'll be nice and behind the bumper. Zip ties in place here. And it comes up here behind the headlight where we'll have this cutoff panel. We'll wire that into positive and negative up on the battery terminal. So, very nice again that they include this in the case. That means I can go on ahead and have the battery turned off whenever I'm not using it. There's no parasitic drain. I can go on ahead and just turn it on when I need the winch. So, we'll keep at it. So, thank you very much. Yep.
Go ahead.
All right, so we were able to get the bumper on. That last little bit's pretty challenging. You'll see in the time lapse.
We got the lights all hooked up. Well, we got the lights all installed. We just got to run the wiring. Winch is out, and you can actually get in here pretty good and can hit your clutch pretty good.
Yeah, let me bring that camera in. Jason, bring it in here so we can get a look. So, Westin designed this little reach-in point where you can get in there and you can disable, you can deactivate the gearing so you can, give it a free spool. Again, the winch fits in there. You'll notice there's a bunch of wiring hanging down at the bottom, but that's just because I wanted to wait to load everything in there and get all the wires run.
Oh, and the winch cutoff shit.
Yep, winch cutoff is up there, nice and zip tied in place. So that's already hooked up. I've actually got the winch all the way wired in, so we can do some tests to that. But again, the lighting and everything, I do have the light bar is going to go up here, but I'm missing a bolt, so I'm going to wait for that. But it's nice you can get in here and you can actually access most everything you need to from up here in the top to be able to put that light bar in. So
I mean, I gotta say, dude, like, I am not a huge Chevy fan. You already know that about me. I'm Toyota through and through, but this looks sexy. This cut, the way it cuts into the body and the frame, it's really good. It just kind of naturally mates up to the truck, and I think that's what Westin did a really good job on. Yeah,
the fit and finish here is really nice. The way that the body molds come up here up under the lights, and they even take into account that brake cooler vent. And they've got the little fin out there to get the body lines nice and smooth. So
and it actually cut in too. Like, you had a lot more sticking out on the front end of the truck before we put this on.
Right.
That's good. And you can kind of see also approach angle. It's pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
He can get wherever he needs to as long as he's not like nose dirt deep into the dirt. So don't be taking any of those like sheer drops. But,
yeah. Well, what's nice is a lot of times when you do these winch bumpers, where you have the winch inside, they have to build it out to where you end up having in the middle of the vehicle almost worse approach angle than you did with the stock bumper. But in this case, they did a really good job of tucking everything nice and close. I think I've got way better approach angles at the tires, which is great. So if I'm coming in on a rock on an angle, or if I'm coming down a hill, I can angle it, and I can really do those approaches a lot more accurately and better. So
especially when you get those 37s on there, it's when you're really going to feel the difference.
Right.
So, but no, it's pretty good. And now it's just tidying up all the odds and ends and getting those wiring installed. So I guess the next video is the wiring.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna probably call it for the night. We'll get everything wired up here soon. That might be another video. Just depends on how I edit this all out. But I think Will's got to head on out. Got to take care of the fam. So
peace out, guys. Keep rolling.
all right. So a quick hint when installing the Westin Pro Bumper on the 2019, 2020, 2021 1500 Chevy Silverado is there are these little plastic brackets back here. These plastic brackets will get in the way of the bumper fitting where it should. So we weren't paying a ton of attention, and we were trying to get things lined up, and we just weren't able to get the bottom of the 3 bumper mounting holes to line up very well. And then it turned out that the bumper's running into this plastic. So it just needs a little trim, get it trimmed out of the way, and then you still have something there to mount the wheel, mount the wheel guard to. So just leave it in place as much as you can, but trim it back so that the bumper can actually get where it needs to go. So we're getting there. Okay, we got everything wired up. So right now I've just got these 2 switches kind of spooled up here because I needed to use the truck. But everything's nice and run up here where the other wiring comes out for the bumper lights. Comes up here, routes all the way back across. So I've got the 2 relays right there. The other ones with a little self-tapper right there. Just getting them up out of the way. Comes all the way across nice and zip tied. Have my fuses right there, nice and easy to get to. All the way over here, nice little service loop where they're routed in. Now, currently I do have them just routed straight in, so they will turn on even if the vehicle's not turned on. I think eventually I will run an ignition wire to them so that I can only get power them when the vehicle's actually on, but we'll just see if I have any problems with it. So, but I am going to run the switches now through that little grommet right there. It's a little tight in there. It does come in just above where the steering column goes in, but I believe I can reach it without ripping the dash entirely out. So you see right there, there's that little piece that comes up and off. I'm hoping to be able to run some baling wire through there after I cut the end off of it. Find it inside, attach the switches, and pull them through. Well, I'll pull the switches off the wire first and then run just the wire through and then reattach the switches and put them where I want them. So let's see how this goes. All right, so got the wiring run back here behind the overflow, right through that little grommet right there. I'll probably fix that up with some high heat silicone or something like that just to seal it back off. But then in here, got them brought through, or I took off this fuse panel on the side, ran them back behind here to right there. So the existing light bar that Rocky Ridge had put in is nice and pretty up here. There was like a little recess in the backing plate of the dash that they were able to run wires through. Down here, there's just plastic right behind everything. It's got a nice relief behind it so that I can throw a step drill through it and get a hole in there without damaging anything. So they're little cattywampus, but nah, whatever. DIY special. So now I just got to get down under here and get all the wires nice and zip tied out of the way. So shouldn't be so bad. All right, I am a mess, but now is the moment of truth. We've got everything wired up, we've got the truck on. Here's the fun thing, watch this. This works. So we got the light bar installed and working. And now we are going to try the winch. So first things first, disconnect it for free spool. Going ahead and pull it. All right, that's probably enough. What did it do with the remote? Thank you, cameraman. All right, so we're gonna turn on wireless mode. All right, got the red light, which means wireless mode's on. Here we go. Oh, it's still in neutral. All right, so that's there. Pull the slack out, get it into gear. But it sounds like it's gonna work. There we go. All done. Nice and snug. Okay, so got the lights all wired up.